Hi, popcorn junkies. Because, of course, it's not just us that's the popcorn junkies. You are too, aren't you? Okay, so it's the second teaser for Joel Coen's Macbeth, starring Frances McDormand and Denzel Washington. The last teaser, which I watched with Nadia, was so supremely short that before we'd even managed to intake our breath, we hadn't even breathed out, and it was over. But I thought it might be quite nice just to, because a lot of people are Coen Brothers fans, aren't they? And I think this is the first time that one of the brothers has peeled off and decided to make his own film all by himself. Joel Coen. I'm probably wrong there, but I'm sure someone will correct me. Now, I remember first coming across the Coen Brothers with their first film, Blood Simple. And for me, Blood Simple was one of the muckiest, most inventive, sticky, B-movie film noirs shot in colour that I can ever remember. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. Frances McDormand, very young in it, and it's about deceit and her double-crossing, and then there's this most sticky process of trying to deal with the body. Thus, Blood Simple. It's not that Blood Simple. Really rich, beautifully shot, and it really marked the arrival of some inventive filmmaking. And that was in 1984. And I remember at the age of 15 that having such an enormous effect, to the point that the last shot in Blood Simple, I kind of pay homage to with the last shot in The Masseuse, the short that I did. Then Raising Arizona came 3 years later, and that was Nick Cage. And that was the first moment I really got Nick Cage in a syringe and jabbed into my eyeball. Crazy, nuts, unpredictable. I loved that movie, though Nanny Di wasn't a particularly big fan. Miller's Crossing came along in 1990, and this was a sort of gangster film all about ethics. I think that's the kind of film that when you get older you go back to and you go, oh, this is a masterpiece. But I remember at the time finding it a little bit glutted, a little bit too much. Barton Fink was a cracker. I felt it was a bit more style over substance. The Hudsucker Proxy felt like it earmarked the future little foray that they had into these strange writing of comedies and stuff like that. And one of our favourites has to be, how can you even think about not including The Big Lebowski? The Dude, Jeff Bridges, The Dude, Steve Buscemi, John Turturro, oh my God, John Goodman. An absolute classic of comedy, stupidity, and again, style, slick, the whole bowling sort of stuff. It was a kind of real beat, kind of loungy, sort of spliffy, kind of weird, whacked out narrative. For me then, Fargo. Steve Buscemi in Fargo. And I thought Fargo was a beautifully disjointed, offbeat, curious, strange, anti-hero-led kind of movie, and obviously it spawned the TV series, and it had a huge impact. Beautifully shot. Again, it had the same level of inventiveness for me as Blood Simple, and of course it had some of the most gruesome scenes that can sit alongside most of the bloody scenes from any, brilliant Quentin Tarantino film, Pulp Fiction or anything like that. They then moved through a whole heap of other films. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It was kind of okay. George Clooney, the kind of jailbreak. Didn't really do it for me. The Man Who Wasn't There, Intolerable Cruelty, The Lady Killers. No Country for Old Men with Javier Bardem, though, based on the Cormac McCarthy novel. That was good. That was frightening. It was weird. And it was in your face. I liked that. Burn After Reading, we've talked about elsewhere. We liked it. And I know a lot of people felt that Brad Pitt was brilliant, but I thought he could have been more brilliant. But John Malkovich, angry Malkovich. How do we get more John Malkovich angry? How do we get more angry Malkovich into our lives? Because it's just a wondrous thing to watch. And Hail Caesar, really liked, particularly liked Ralph Fiennes, his little turn in there. Josh Brolin was in there too. Again, I felt it could have been so much better than it was in the end. I mean, it promised so much, and it has moments. I mean, the thing is, they're such cinematic filmmakers that you rarely, don't get some set piece that's phenomenal and fantastic. And of course there's The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which I didn't see, still haven't seen, and don't tell Maddie, because Maddie says I need to. I think she's right. But share your thoughts. What are your favourite Coen brother films? Because this new one is a Coen brother film. It's Macbeth, and as I say, we've watched the first teaser. This is probably going to last no longer than me sipping from this can of ginger beer. short, very short. What I think they're going for, and I love, again, the aspect ratio, and yet within that, the composition means that it's much more constrained, but still some really great choices made there with how the edges are blocked out with shadow and what have you. Really static shots, highly stylized production sets. So in a sense, they're not trying to hide the fact that this is quite theatrical, and yet it looks theatrical, but looks utterly cinematic, i.e., the mechanics of theatre are there in terms of the props and the actors, obviously, and the lighting. But the camera is positioning itself in a position that only cinema can. And that, for me, I think, is the difference between an adaptation for the cinema and simply showing a stage play on a big screen. Let's have another little roll through it. I'll just turn it down a bit. I think it looks really, really promising. So you've got that wonderful coastline shot there with, you know, the tower on the cliff edge. Could be drawn, might not be real. Does it matter? Not really. Beautiful composition again there. I mean, you know, again, looking at the sides and the surrounds, it could be that these pillars are drawn or created. But beautiful, beautiful composition, taking you right down to the vanishing point, right at the end there. That is a sensational shot. I mean, that is a sensational shot. Nothing more than light. They'll be on a soundstage there, chuck a huge light out in that corner, walk in front of it. Does the job. But you're above it, rather than on the stage, he'd have to be walking towards you, or perhaps down a slope. That, for me, now here you're getting into almost, look, you can see the stars in the sky. He's walking through this landscape. You can see that it's clearly constructed, but it doesn't matter. For me, I'm almost getting sort of Wizard of Oz vibes there. You know, it's in terms of the artificiality, not in terms of the subject of set. And there he goes, walking along through this brilliantly constructed set. Beautiful composition again. Use of lights. I mean, again, are they sort of starlights that have been descended in the studio? Oh. Now, interestingly, here is the first shot I think I've seen across the both teasers, where you've got a crane or a jibbing shot. And it's coming down, and look at them, they're all looking into the camera, so the camera is obviously personifying someone or something. And here we have this beautiful setup, this sort of derelict place. And then look, I mean, Denzel Washington, what a brilliant face Denzel Washington has. And how wonderful that you're not, you know, a big thing isn't being made of the fact that we have a black actor playing a character that has been played for bloody millennia, well, not millennia, so hundreds of years, by white actors. And, you know, rather than that obvious traditional thing of Othello, black actor, you know, it's just refreshing, it's different, it's good. And then here, we've got these three figures just sat on these beams. I mean, what a spectacular shot. It's almost like one of those Escher drawings, isn't it? And then, you know, who are these three figures? I can't remember from the play. Are they the three witches? Are they a further manifestation of death and all that kind of stuff? He's looking up, it's descending down. I mean, and the wall, it just looks beautiful. I think it looks beautiful. And then we have a sort of altar, and all the way through it, just that thud, thud. That, for me, is a return to the visual inventiveness of stuff like Blood Simple, Raising Arizona. I think, in a weird way, across their careers, they've sort of lost touch with that truly inventive form of camera work. Whereas I think here, Joel Coen's challenged himself and limited himself. This is the great thing, he's limited himself with a pre-written Shakespearean text. He's limited himself by the size of the framing, and he's limited himself with black and white. I'm saying limited, and all these choices he'll have made to amplify the story and his vision for it. I'm really excited about it. Are you?
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.